Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. Today I was thinking something new. I wanted to discuss the Stalker universe in relation to the SCP Foundation. Now I've always wondered, can the Stalker universe be classified as an SCP? And I've been going around, looking around, checking everything, and I think it actually can be classified as that. Because as many people know, especially those who have watched the SCP series, SCPs are quite literally some anomalous object, an anomalous area, or there's a strange area or strange creature that is beyond human explanation at times. And for me, Stalker classifies quite well into that, and I've not ever seen anyone discussing it before. So let's take a look first at the zone itself, and that's where I thought we will start. So the zone for Stalker is situated around Chernobyl. It's this lovely Chernobyl power plant and the events behind it, where we had a meltdown, radiation leak, and in this case an explosion which created the zone. Now thankfully we've got guides and notes for things like this. Now, I just need to remember where it was, because I know there was somewhere here where it had a note on the zone itself. Anomalies. As soon as I remember where it is, that's artifacts, not artifacts. Factions, features, historic. Nope, not that one. Locations. I will find it and I'll explain it, but I'll do my best to explain, since I thought I actually had it here, but I don't. So, from my understanding, now please understand, I'm not some person who knows every single little thing about the zone, and neither am I someone who knows everything about SCPs. I stand to be corrected on a lot of what I'm going to say. But to start with, as I said before, the zone in itself is an area that surrounds the Chernobyl power plant. And it's quite literally was created, from what I can remember. I know I had the guide somewhere, but now I can't remember it entirely. But it was created when, not the first explosion, but a secondary explosion by scientists when they were doing experiments in the zone. Created, in essence, a circle area around the power plants and the area surrounding it, creating the zone. It became an exclusion zone. No one was supposed to be allowed in there besides scientists, military and everything, but as with all, especially in the game, you had residents as well as freelancers and people who eventually got named as stalkers, who would enter the zone in search of riches, treasures and all sorts of things that they could find. Now I'm going to start off with, since I'm actually in the generator area, because I thought that's one of the easiest places to look at, because they had a lot of anomalies here. So I'm going to start with the most simplest thing is, so when it comes to classifying an SCP, they're normally classified as an area, and anything in that area will be classified as, SCP A or B, or with another designation for that. Now, in the zone, you have things that happen, and one of the biggest things that happen quite often is blowouts and psi storms. If you're caught out in it, you die, or you become turned into a zombie. Now, also what was created in the zone was anomalous effects. In other words, areas that had, literally as you can see in front, you had electricity that would be shooting, acid that has effects, vortexes that could suck you in at any minute, like this one right here. I wonder if I can activate it without getting caught. Nope, I got caught. We'll bounce out of that. It could suck you in and it would blow you to pieces. Now both the sky as well as the ground was affected by these anomalous effects. And here we have the acid one there. Now due to this, things changed. Perspectives got warped. Areas got warped. There's even some effects or anomalies that even allowed you to warp between areas, or even trapped you in some unknown zone. You also had things that would affect the mentality of people, and these all combine to create the mutants that are seen around the zone, as well as the environment seen around the zone. Now, there are a lot of mutants in Stalker, and they've actually gone into a very nice history for it. So if you're playing Stalker and you hunt and capture, you'll eventually find that you will get a nice glossier on all the creatures in the zone, plus with Stalker Gamma some new ones that they've added. So I'll start with the most simple, which is the blind dogs here. As you can read in the description, the blind dogs were in essence the dogs left over in the zone when the first, well, basically when they were all abandoned during the initial meltdown. And due to years of being in the zone and radiation, they have been mutated, losing their sight, getting damage to their skin, and quite literally roaming around in packs and hunting down anyone and anything they can find for food and territory. Now, the dogs, blind dogs in this case, are not the most dangerous of enemies by themselves, but they can be very dangerous when they're gathered together. Ooh, bonus. Another one of the many mutants you will come across in the zone, just went behind that hill, is what is known as bloodsuckers or psi suckers. That's this creature over here that has a very interesting effect. It hunts by becoming invisible. So if I go close to this guy, he hasn't seen me yet. But the moment I go close to him and he sees me, okay, he's not going to see me. Right, I've got that on at the moment. He normally goes invisible. Of course, he's not going invisible now because he doesn't see where I am. He doesn't know I'm... Well, he knows I'm here because he's running away. And I've got incognito mode on at the moment. I can't remember how to turn it off. Right, where did you go? You went invisible. Or you ran somewhere else. There he is. There we go, got it. So, he is one of the many mutants that have been created by the zone. They hunt in the dark. They are nocturnal. And they hunt by draining the blood of the living. And that's why they were called bloodsuckers. Come on, turn over. Turn over. Yeah, can't get him to turn over for us. You know, yep. So anyway, they hunt the living. They suck your blood, and they can actually become invisible and can be a very dangerous mutant to come across, especially also when they come in packs. Some of the other mutants you'll come across in the zone that is created by the zone, not just the bloodsuckers. You got the wild boars that have literally mutated as well. You got the burrs, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right, which is stocky dwarf-like monsters. They got quite also telekinetic powers and abilities, and as you can see, they are humanoid creatures of that word there, complexation, clad in shreds of shoddy overalls, and are generally afraid of bright lights. They're created as the result of genetic experiments on criminals. Burrs naturally possess powerful telekinetic abilities, making them far more powerful than they appear. So this is what I was talking about, the experiments that happen in the zone. You got criminals, you got animals, you got creatures that have been experimented and eventually transformed via both the radiation and mutated effects. Now, you would say, oh, but that's human man-made, how can you classify it as a SCP? But one thing to remember, there are some SCPs which were created by people, and they have anomalous effects. Now, I'm not going to see much out here, because I've kind of been exploring to clear out and get some stuff done. But our next one that we can also look at, let's see, we don't have, so we have cats in the zone. I haven't got any near me. And these cats are also been mutated and eventually grew 2 poison glands on the sides of their jaw, making them able to poison whoever they bite. It must be quite a dangerous object to come across in the zone. Here we are in, well, I was supposed to say in, but here we are by the Chernobyl nuclear power plant. So this is the epicenter where everything started. Now, there are many factions that have come into the zone that have both been affected by the zone and transformed by the zone. One of the biggest factions to be transformed by the zone are known, and it's the Monolith. Now, they are very, very different to other factions. One being, they're the one faction which is very difficult to be friendly with. Sorry about that. They're one of the difficult factions to be friendly with, unless you play as the monolith when playing the game. But I'm not discussing that. Don't ask me why I'm going in that direction. Anyway, so the way the monolith came about is they were affected by psionic, quite literally psionic effects that transformed or mutated their brains into a different form of thinking. And their whole purpose in being is defending the zone, especially the Chernobyl power plants, and the monolith itself, which is basically this whole wish object. And the whole idea behind this object is that it is thought that if you can find it, get near it, you can make a wish. And your wish would come true. Now there is actually lore behind the wish artifact that is hidden inside the Chernobyl power plant, and I will go to show you this artifact because I know exactly where it is. I just need to get inside it. But one of the nice things that they've set up is like this artifact can change everything. But the reality is it doesn't change anything. It actually quite literally turns you into a monolith itself. No, not the monolith artifact itself, but into one of the monolith faction groups. Simply because it changes your mind and your brain. Now, the monolith itself is also part of another law of history where there are actually scientists in a lab further down, back in the generator room, which had removed themselves and become part of the zone. And their psionic abilities became so powerful, allowing them to warp things, in a sense. Not warp reality itself, but warp the people around it to see what they wanted them to see, and thus creating the monolith area. Now, we were just talking about blind dogs. And here is a good example of the blind dogs. As you can see, they move around in packs, and I've just been attacked. Oh, and we even got one of these things, which I can't remember exactly. What was your name again? Yeah, let's just... I think I should turn incognito mode back on again so I can show you guys this properly. So these are the blind dogs that attack you in groups. And this here, which does not even tell me what it is because it's hiding the name, so we'll find the name for you as soon as I do this. No, undercover, otherwise it's going to be all wet. It's already wet, never mind. That is the Psi dogs. So the blind dogs came from domesticated dogs. Psi dogs came about from wolves that got mutated. Now again, this is anomalous effects by the zone warping creatures, and that's why I would call them an SCP, another part of them being changed, so instead of you give them their own classic designation. Now I want to get into a little bit of cover because I want to get out the rain, and then I'm going to talk about the artifacts of the zone. So one of the big driving forces behind the zone, especially for stalkers in the game, is the hunt for artifacts. Finding an artifact would bring great riches to you. That was the whole concept behind it. So stalkers would enter the zone in droves to hunt down artifacts, to sell and make money. Now artifacts are literal objects in the zone that have been warped and changed by the zone, by the anomalous effects, by the blowouts and the ice storms, to have, I wouldn't call it magic, but effects that can now change how people works for you, giving you defense, giving you protection, even damaging your body and harming you, depending on how dangerous they can be. Now many of these can be useful and are studied by the science group that is actually in the zone themselves. Now they go about studying all these artifacts that they can be found to see what do they have and what can they do. And again, I will then classify the artifact as another form of SCP, because it is quite literally an unknown object, oops, that has properties that are beyond explanation due to special effects. Now I have got a few with me, which I will then drop, which are these here. I think, oops, let's just drop these so you can see all of them lying here. As you can see, these are our anomaly stuff. Oh, sorry, our artifacts. Starting literally from this one, which is like, well, as you see, it's a generator, which as long as you carry it, would charge up any battery that is on your person. This one here, the Prometheus, gives you protection against fire. As you can see, it will give you bleed control, heal regeneration, protection against fire, but it also irradiates the body. You got this one here, the Surferum. This thing, upon receiving a fatal blow, the artifact is destroyed and would revive the player. It doesn't actually do that, I think there's more to it, but yeah. Next one you have like the lamp. The lamp allows you to see hidden stashes. You got this artifact here, the Atom. Radiation illnesses grants a stamina boost and a slight radiation removal. So carrying this, if you're irradiated, would affect your main body. So these, I would say, are all artifacts that have anomalous effects and could be would, I would say, classify themselves as an SCP. How would they be contained? Well, they're actually currently contained by being put in containers. It's quite simple, actually, if you think about it. Come on, up and over. Oh, it's getting rainy. Here we are, deep in the bowels of the Chernobyl power plant, as we make our way to the Wish artifact. Now, as I said before, the Wish artifact is this strange object that was created during the initial phase of the zone's expansion, giving rise to many people wishing for many stuff and turning into these guys here, the Monolith. I'm busy hunting Psydocs. And as I said, the Monolith themselves, we can actually do a read on them. Let's go to factions. So, in the factions, the Monolith, fixated by their fanaticism, they attempt to resist all who would try to penetrate through to the center of the zone, to such an extent that most stalkers consider them generally insane. While physically on par with other stalkers in the zone, their favor is what truly sets them aside. Members have been known to charge with knives after running out of ammo, or detonate themselves when at risk of capture. Their members are thought to be inducted through brainwashing, previously via the use of the Brain Scorcher, until it was shut down by Strelok. Irrespective of this, in recent years the Monoliths have managed to seemingly endlessly supply of recruits and materials. Get it in there. Sorry, excuse my reading there. But as you can see, this is a group that quite literally came about by brainwashing and burning the brain to meet what they want them to meet and do what they want them to do. Now, there's an interesting part that comes about when it comes down to the Monolith, which says that the Monolith don't communicate normally. Like in the Stalker universe, stalkers would communicate via PDAs. The Monolith don't need to. They somehow can communicate without it. That's why I say they have got some sort of anomalous property, and I would say that could actually classify them in the category of an SCP. What are they? How do they talk? How do they communicate? Something beyond normal understanding. And as you can see, they've done a lot of cleaning. We also have these things here. These are what happened to the rats of the zone that then mutated. Whoops. That's the unmutated rats. Let's find us the mutated rats. There we go. Small rat-like creatures that move about on their two hind legs. Their name is a reference to the rodent, which I cannot pronounce. Despite their behavior, widely believed to have originated from trained and domesticated rats, which were experimented on before the second disaster. So the second disaster is what I'm talking about when it comes down to the creation of the zone. The zone originally was, as it currently is today, a place where you can enter that's just irradiated and it's just got an exclusion zone. The second disaster is quite literally what created the zone, creating all the anomalous effects and changes to both creatures and people within the zone itself. Like I said, many of these mutations eventually would be classified, and I would definitely call them under the SCP. So you could say SCP, let's say 2006 million C, because I have no idea how many SCPs there are, I will be honest. Please don't quote me on things when it comes down to SCP Foundation. I am not an expert. I'm working with the things I've read, listened to on the channels and YouTube, and that's it. Can I open this? No. I need to go down there, but I can't go down there. So, which way was it again? See, as we travel deep into the zone, you can already hear... If you let me hear, you can hear the monoliths talking in a sense. Especially as you get closer and deeper. Now, these guys are busy fighting. Can't see it. But in essence, these guys are busy fighting what is known as a poltergeist. Now, poltergeists were also created in the zone via unknown anomalous effects. And they have also telekinetic powers, ability to throw things around and even create anomalies like fire and electricity. Let's go to those so you can take a nice close look at it under the guides. So, poltergeist, there we go, a rare pyrokinetic substance, so this is the fire one. And yeah, a strange, almost invisible creature hunting the deep reaches of the zone. Supernatural in the eyes of some, usually found hunting all the buildings. Nothing is known about their origin, although rumors and legends claim they are the spirits of stalkers hit by a massive blast of radiation. Their mysterious appearance and disappearance seem to ascribe on to the poltergeist legacy, hence the name, as they will attempt to lift and throw objects at you. Now there's another one here, which I also want to talk about because I can see him there. Where are Snorks? This is another mutated zone. So these creatures were apparently once people, as they still wear the tattered remains of their uniforms. Although it is difficult to imagine what conditions could bring a person to this state, Snorks lead a completely animal way of life. They move on all fours, bouncing over the ground and constantly sniffing the air to catch the smell of the next meal. They hunt cleverly and prudently, waiting for the stalker like predatory animals. Stalkers like predatory animals. Lighting reflexes and there's that funny word again, muscles allow Snorks to make long precision jumps within seconds, tearing their victims to shreds. Originally thought to be unfortunate survivors of the very first military expedition into the zone, their continued presence in 2018 has opened up a dark avenue of thought and speculation regarding their true natures. So this right here is a Snork, although this one's missing the mask. Come on, can I turn you over? Well, as you can see, he doesn't have his mask on, but these are the Snorks that have been considered previous people that entered the zone. Here's a better example of the bloodsucker. Big, dangerous... Oops, wrong button. Let's get a closer... Nope, I want to get a closer look at your jaw. As you can see, very nasty jaw these things have. Yeah, and now as we travel deeper and deeper towards the Wish artifact, bouncing over all these guys, hopefully it'll still be here. You can clearly hear the monolith's brainwashing effects speaking over and creating as we get closer to the Wish artifact. Now this artifact, as I said before, was considered the end all of everything. You get to the middle of the zone and you make a wish and you will be granted immense riches, eternal life, anything you desired. But the reality was, it was an artifact that just drew stalkers to it before turning them into mindless husks of the zone itself. And yeah, you can see the Snorks running on all fours, searching for prey, getting stuck in walls. Don't ask me why, they're just stuck in walls. Now as we climb up closer to Chernobyl, we eventually see the main artifact, the artifact that all search for, all want and all wish to get closer to without getting stuck on things. And as can clearly be seen, there's the Chernobyl reactor that started the cascade of everything, creating the zone itself. And there, in the center of it all, the monolith, the wishing stone, where all who come wishing to, and getting their wishes granted, but instead turned into mindless husks. See, I want the zone to disappear, humanity is corrupt, make mankind must be controlled, I wish the world peace, I desire all the riches of the zone, make me immortal, or say nothing. Now this, I would say, is the foundation of the zone itself. This artifact. And this, you could say, I would classify as, maybe this could be classified as the original SCP. The zone itself being an offshoot of the SCP, and thus being classified as a secondary, with the mutants and the anomalies that are seen around the zone itself. The artifacts that can be found, which people trace for riches and wealth, and the many dangers that hide within a lot of these. One of the best ones, I don't have it here, I must actually find it, being the most dangerous of all artifacts. Oh, something I almost forgot. Artifacts, as can be also be seen, artifacts are used in the creation of many power sources. If I put that across here, you can see how this artifact here has been used to create a power source, giving vast versatility and speed for the exosuits used in the zone. Let me put that back on because I don't need that, but I do need to repower it up again. Here we go. Now, I thought it'd be good to talk about more on artifacts. Here we've got a nice encyclopedia created on this. So, as you can see here, most artifacts have strange and useful characteristics. For example, when kept close to the body, some artifacts create a protective field that increases its user resilience to damage. Others may increase the user's stamina or protect against fire. Artifacts are also valuable scientific study materials, and outside corporations would pay a hefty price to obtain one of these artifacts from the zone. The birth of artifacts. Artifacts are formed from anomalies. Exposed to certain objects or conditions, the combination of ordinary objects, or of ordinary objects, for some reason I did that twice, and an anomaly. The degradation and death of an anomaly, or if the anomaly is exposed to certain conditions. An example is the crystal, where it is a combination of metallic substances and burner anomalies. Emissions are known to be the catalysts in the actual creation of an artifact, although the scientists in the zone are still unable to explain what happens or how this happens. Artifacts are very valuable, and stalkers commonly sell them to traders, who in turn sell them to high-profile buyers ranging from the military, scientists, or large business companies down to collectors. Scientists, notably Professor Sokurov, greatly values artifacts as they are great research material and claim that they would be a key to the answer of the world problems and a key to several technology advancements. Now, that in itself, I would say, would definitely fall. I just dropped there. Thankfully, I have guard mode on. That, I would say, definitely classifies for the SCP Foundation's one of the most common cores, which is contain. So, as most who know of the SCP stands for Secure, Contain, Protect. Artifacts, can you imagine that getting out into the world? Creating vast chaos depending on how they are used, or can even create amazing medical technologies or protection. So yeah, the SCP would then consider containing them to prevent them from spreading out and causing havoc. At the same rate, I would also say if they did get out, wouldn't be a bad thing for humanity, maybe. Now, one of the greatest dangers of the zone is an emission, and I'm lucky enough to have one started for us as I stepped out. Now, the emissions come from the center of the zone, in essence the generator room, and spread out across the zone. Now, rumor has it, emissions, every time an emission happens, the zone gets a little bit bigger every time. Well, this is just a rumor, but being one of the many dangers of the zone itself, known to killing lots of stalkers. Ooh, I was looking in the wrong direction. Known for killing lots of stalkers, as well as creating what is known as zombies. These are stalkers whose minds have been completely corrupted by the, well, not corrupted, I should say, being fried by the zone's emissions itself. Now, there's two types of emissions you get out here. You get the emission itself, and you get a psi storm. Don't know which way it's going to come from. It should come from there, because it always comes from the center of the zone. We get a front row seats, actually. You can see it's creating a massive blast that then stretches from the center outwards, destroying and killing anything that is caught outside of protection. The only way to keep yourself protected is quite literally to hide in a hole or take a medicine that knocks you out. As you saw from that first blast, a whole pile of crows which were caught outside died. Stalkers who have managed to survive their mission then find themselves trying to recollect and pick up the pieces after all the damage. Who knows how many passed away and how many still survive the next mission that comes through, being one of the greatest dangers of the zone itself. Classified, I would definitely classify this as another SCP, but an environmental SCP of the zone itself. Upon leaving Chernobyl itself, we find ourselves getting caught by Psystorm actually. This being a very different type compared to the emission. The Psystorm in essence creates a massive amount of a radiation in essence, but a type of radiation that would fry any stalker's brain that is caught out of protection, thus leading to the creation of zombies. These stalkers find themselves shambling about, stuck with nothing but the residue memories of fighting and killing. Without a decent headshot, these guys will always get themselves back up and start fighting again. And as you can see clearly here, many zombies were created during the last storm. As the Psystorm builds in the atmosphere, and I need to find safety before it does hit. As it gets, both lightning and other anomalous effects are created. Okay man, go to cover. They shouted. Whoops, they shouted. For some reason this one's not kick-starting yet until I stayed sheltered for a bit. I just want to test something. I'll shoot you in the leg. I'll miss the leg. I want you to go down but not die. There we go. As you can see, without a clear shot, they will get themselves back up again. As we journey through the zone, we eventually come across an old cargo carrier, converted into a safe haven for many people in the zone. As you can see, okay, it looks like they're in a bit moggies. We have the stalkers, generally the freelancers of the zone themselves, and the military. Oh, sorry, the mercenary in this case. Mercenaries are groups that quite literally hide for money, come out and fight for anything they can get in the zone itself. Others you have are the military itself, basically the Ukraine forces that are supposed to keep people from entering the zone. Of course, that doesn't always work. As we can clearly see, there are many groups in the zone. Now, of the many anomalies found in the zone, this one here is the one I was talking about earlier, which is a spatial anomaly. You jump into it, it can take you anywhere or trap you anywhere. In this case, it drops us here, amongst a firefight that we don't need to worry about. In conclusion, can the zone be considered an SCP? My thoughts on it is yes. You have many things that make up for a large part what the zone stands for, and for many people that have been working very hard in creating SCPs, the Foundation, its history and resources, I think the zone can be classified under a lot of that. It's got environmental aspects for the SCP. It's got artifacts created in anomalous ways. You've quite literally got anomalies that range from warping and changing reality to frying people's minds and burning them with acid. You have got mutants that have been changed and warped by both scientific experiments and the zone itself, creating horrors that one would not want to run into in the dead of night. You have stalkers entering and exiting out of the zone constantly. You have stalkers being brainwashed and even transformed into functions like the monolith. Where does that leave many of us? I would say, can the zone be isolated as with many of the SCPs in the Foundation? I'd say no, since we clearly see stalkers entering and exiting all the time. Can it be controlled? I'd say yes, as preventing artifacts and stuff from it getting further is entirely possible. Now, I do hope I was able to give a good explanation to everyone. I do apologize if my explanation was long-winded at times or very confusing, as I've not done something like this before, as my main branch of gaming is Let's Plays as well as how-tos. But I do hope you all enjoyed yourselves, and I do hope that there might be someone out there who can do a better job than me and might even take it further into turning the zone into an SCP itself and giving it a proper designation and classification. But I hope I earned a like and subscribe from you all. And just something out of curiosity, what would you classify the zone as under the SCP? Will you call it safe? A Euclid? Or that last one which I can't remember, which basically means world annihilation if it gets out? No, until then, I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I will catch everyone in the next videos. I will be having our Stalker coming back. It's just taking me a while because I have to re-get to where I was in Iron Man mode. But I will get there, and then I will continue the series. Till then, have a wonderful evening, and good night.